You are watching the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Luigi Mangione has a message for the American people. What he was saying as he was heading into court today.
You look out the window and, the sky is red.
A rapidly growing fire in California is forcing thousands of people to evacuate, where millions of other people are still at risk for new fires to ignite. Plus, a troubling trend, late-stage breast cancer rates are rising for all demographics under 42. Who is most at risk across the country? This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. Thank you for being with us. I'm Dee Dee Gatton, and right now, Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, remains behind bars as he was denied bail at a hearing this afternoon in Pennsylvania. Mangione contested the extradition request by New York prosecutors and has 14 days to appeal the bail decision. Before heading into the courtroom, he yelled at reporters as he was ushered inside by law enforcement.
And it's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Online court documents show New York prosecutors are charging him with murder and criminal possession of a weapon and forged document while he faces gun-related charges in Pennsylvania. Mangione was spotted and arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona nearly a week after Brian Thompson was killed in Manhattan. And while we wait for the court process to play out, this case is getting a lot of attention online. National correspondent Kelly Gaskins reports.
Completely out of touch. And an insult.
Luigi Mangione, a murder suspect and hero to some corners of the internet.
Free my boy Luigi.
Police in Altoona, Pennsylvania, arresting the 26-year-old on Monday for the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Hashtag Free Luigi, now trending on X, Instagram, Reddit, and TikTok.
Free Luigi!
For some, he's a heartthrob.
This boy is so fine. He is way too cute. It's my type.
For others, he's a vigilante, fighting a broken healthcare system.
Y'all saying murderer, I'm saying freedom fighter.
You have thousands of people who are supporting these kinds of sentiments, and it's really despicable.
Former Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz sharing her reaction to Thompson's death with Piers Morgan.
I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean, the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
In Baltimore, near Maglione's hometown, someone hung a Healthcare for All banner over the highway. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro making it clear this murder is not something to celebrate.
We do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning.
The McDonald's where police arrested Mangione now under attack online. One reviewer writing, "This location has rats that will make you sick and your insurance won't cover it." Google took down all the negative reviews for that McDonald's, saying they violate their policies. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins, reporting for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Right now, thousands of people are under evacuation orders because of a wildfire near Malibu, California, that has exploded in size since it started last night. The Franklin fire has burned over 2,700 acres. It is still 0% contained. Governor Gavin Newsom said today FEMA is stepping in to help. Pepperdine University ordered a brief shelter in place and canceled classes today.
I mean, it has definitely been a stressful and very tiring night. I mean, my power went out around 11:15 p.m. And as soon as the power went out, I knew it was because of a fire, just because we were under a red flag warning.
And more than 9 million people in Southern California are still under red flag warnings. Daniel Penny didn't speak yesterday after being acquitted for negligent homicide in the death of Jordan Neely. Tonight, speaking out for the very first time, the former Marine tells Fox News he would do it all again.
I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. the guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
And we are just learning now Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is the latest athlete to have his home broken into. The Anderson Township, Ohio Sheriff's Office confirmed a break-in happened last night while Burrow and the Bengals were in Dallas to play the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. This is at least the third time an NFL player has been targeted while playing a game. Kansas City Chiefs stars Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes had their homes broken into last month. New York City prosecutors told Judge Juan Merchan he can end Donald Trump's hush money case without overturning Trump's conviction. Over the summer, Donald Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business documents, but has not been sentenced following that verdict. Sentencing has been delayed until after Trump's second term as president. Trump's legal team has asked Judge Merchan to throw out the guilty verdict completely. And on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are looking into new threats to the homeland with dozens of reports of unauthorized drones flying in the skies of at least 2 states. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell with the latest.
Here it is. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
New Jersey residents documenting what's become a disturbing trend. Unmanned aerial systems or drones flying overhead constantly.
This is over my house right now. What is that?
But it's not just their homes, but a golf course owned by President-elect Donald Trump and a military installation. The drones reportedly the size of SUVs.
I think the creepy part is not that it's just a drone, that they're so large.
Dozens of New Jersey lawmakers demanding action from Governor Phil Murphy.
We're obviously most concerned about sensitive targets and sensitive critical infrastructure.
The threat prompting this hearing on Capitol Hill.
From foreign adversaries seeking to exploit UAS for surveillance and intelligence gathering, to the growing risk of UAS being weaponized to attack critical infrastructure, sports stadiums, our vulnerabilities are clear.
Lawmakers sounding alarm bells, not just about potential risks, but actual ones. Edward Kelly, seen here participating in the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol, was just weeks ago convicted of conspiring to kill the FBI agents who investigated him, with plans to use car bombs and incendiary devices appended to drones, according to the Justice Department. Another Tennessee man, Skylar Filippi, was charged with attempting to use a weapon of mass destruction, also affixed to an unmanned aircraft system, and fly the UAS into an electric substation located in Nashville. Government witnesses outlining additional risks, including mass attacks using chemical, biological, or nuclear material, drug trafficking, espionage, and monitoring law enforcement activity. A meeting in New Jersey has just been scheduled for tomorrow morning with New Jersey state lawmakers, state police, and the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. Didi?
Christine, what are lawmakers suggesting here? I mean, what do they want to see done?
Well, they're hoping that state and local law enforcement can get more power to deal with this instead of always having to rely on the federal government. We also learned that in a big way, these UASs are being used by cartels south of the border. They're using them to smuggle in drugs and to monitor the area so they can see when and where they can best smuggle in humans.
Live from Washington, D.C., Christine Frizzell, thank you. Gun rights could be expanded in Florida if a new bill gets passed. The bill would repeal the state's red flag law, which lets police and families petition to remove guns from people deemed dangerous. It would also allow open carry in places like university campuses, among other changes. Supporters call it a win for freedom, but critics say the current red flag law is critical for public safety.
We need those tools. God forbid that gets taken away. And we're not going to have the capability in our red flagging these people and going in and taking their guns. God forbid, they're going to commit, some type of violence. So, no, you can't touch that. No way.
And a debate over Idaho's near total abortion ban is back in federal appeals court with a hearing set for today. A lawsuit from the Biden administration accuses the state of violating the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. State officials deny this and say fetuses and embryos should be protected under this law. Earlier this year, the U.S. Supreme Court heard the case but tossed it back to the lower court. And new tonight, a man who brought a grenade in his carry-on bag at LaGuardia International Airport in New York City yesterday will not face charges because the weapon was inactive, according to the TSA. He told police he got it at a museum. Officials from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey confiscated the grenade. It'll now be used to help with training. A proposed merger between supermarket giants Kroger and Albertsons is on hold for now. A federal judge issued a temporary halt on the $25 billion deal over concerns it will limit competition in the grocery industry. The merger was announced in 2022 and would be the biggest grocery store merger in U.S. history. The grocers argue it would bolster their position as a union alternative to Walmart, Amazon, and Costco. The Federal Trade Commission argues it will just drive prices up for consumers. Coming up next year on the National News Desk, what's in a new bombshell report about journalists' private information being seized by the government? Then the commonly used ingredient that could be banned from food in this country within weeks due to safety concerns. Plus, the homelessness support plan in one state that has neighbors and business owners concerned about drug use and crime. We'll be right back. As we come back on the air, rain. The eastern seaboard is bracing for an atmospheric river arriving overnight. That's a belt of warm, moist air known for producing extreme amounts of precipitation. It's starting in the Gulf of Mexico and will likely dump an inch of rain a day from Florida to Maine. It could also switch over to freezing rain farther north. Areas of New York could see up to 4 inches of rain, which could lead, of course, to flooding. The East Coast could also see low temperatures tomorrow morning that are warm enough, actually, to break records. New tonight, the Department of Justice improperly seized phone records of reporters as well as members of Congress and staff members during Donald Trump's first term in office. This coming from a DOJ's Inspector General report out today. They found that the DOJ didn't follow department rules when obtaining these records, but ruled out political motivation by career prosecutors. No charges are being recommended. Among those staff members investigated is Donald Trump's pick to lead the FBI, Kash Patel, who was working for the House Intelligence Committee at the time. Patel was on Capitol Hill today looking to seek the senatorial backing to become the next director of the FBI, but did not answer questions about this report. After meeting with Patel, Oklahoma Senator Mark Wade Mullen believes he has what it takes to be confirmed.
Kash is, doing what he needs to do, get on the Hill, in the vote of senators. And as I've said before, the game up here is not to put yeses, it's to keep no's off the board. And Cash is going to be able to deliver. We'll be able to get him confirmed. I'm really confident about that.
Now the tide may be turning in favor of one of President-elect Donald Trump's controversial cabinet picks. National correspondent Matt Gelka has the details on what's changed for the possible next Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
These have been great. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Defense, has new momentum on Capitol Hill. His rollout after Trump chose him as his top man to lead the Pentagon has been mired in controversy, with past scandals Hegseth has denied, ranging from sexual assault allegations to drinking on the job to mismanaging money, dogging the former Army National Guardsman and Fox News host.
He doesn't currently believe that he has a problem. He has in the past consumed alcohol, but I don't think he would be unique here on Capitol Hill or in the Pentagon for having done that.
Iowa Republican Joni Ernst issued a supportive statement for Hegseth after saying last week she had concerns about him.
It was a very productive meeting, but he does respect that I'm taking the time.
I would never speak for Senator Ernst, but I appreciate the time. It was an amazing conversation. She's a wonderful combat vet and have welcomed all of her insight.
Hegseth appeared to come out against women on the battlefield earlier this year.
Because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles.
But returned to Fox News Monday night and seemingly reversed course.
And I also want an opportunity here to clarify comments that have been misconstrued that I somehow don't support women in the military. Some of our greatest warriors, our best warriors out there are women.
The accusations about mismanaging money and about non-consensual behavior, if they come forward, I will listen to those accusations, but they have to be credible and they have to be presented in a fashion that Pete can rebut. So he's much better off this week than he was last week.
Senator Ernst was facing mounting pressure online from pro-Trump voices before she expressed support for Hegseth. The potential new Pentagon chief will continue to meet with Republican senators this week. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell suffered minor injuries today in a fall during a Senate Republican lunch. The 82-year-old received medical attention for a minor cut to the face and a sprained wrist. McConnell has had a few medical scares over the last few years, including mental lapses and another fall in 2023 where he suffered a concussion. McConnell is stepping down from leadership in January. The United States will support the new Syrian leaders if they renounce terrorism and respect the rights of minorities. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said they look forward to working with the many groups inside the rebel forces to ensure a smooth transition of power. Last night, rebel leaders met with the Assad regime's prime minister to discuss next steps. A full transition is expected to take several months. And this as the United Nations is condemning Israel for continuing to strike leftover Assad regime military assets for a second day. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he authorized these bombardments to keep armament away from jihadists. More than 320 targets, including Syria's Air Force, drones, and assorted missiles were hit. Meantime, in Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu was in court today as a criminal defendant. Netanyahu is accused of fraud, breach of trust, and accepting bribes in 3 separate cases. The Prime Minister has denied any wrongdoing and called the case a political hunt. Turning to new developments, the now vacant Harrisburg State Hospital has been fully demolished after an intense fire broke out last night. Crews were still working to extinguish the flames in hot spots this morning. The hospital opened in 1851 and closed in 2006, but was going to be part of a $450 million joint lab complex used by different state agencies. Renovations were set to begin early next year. Officials haven't ruled out foul play. Red food coloring could be removed from food in the United States. The FDA is considering a petition calling for red dye number 3 to be banned over concerns about negative health effects, especially in children. Michigan State University toxicology expert Jamie Allen says food coloring has long been linked to ADHD development, but there are natural alternatives.
There are plenty of natural food dyes that will give nice color that don't result in these
effects and behavior in children.
Red dye number 3 is made from petroleum and is often used in cereal, candy, and drinks. The FDA is expected to decide whether to remove it within 3 weeks. The diagnoses of late-stage breast cancer in the United States has increased significantly for women under 40 over the last few years. This coming from a study published today in the journal Radiology. All demographics of women showed an increase, but the largest impacted group, that was Black women, who are diagnosed per capita 55% more often than white women. Researchers did not offer a reason for the trend, but a new study is linking breast cancer with pancreatic cancer. It seems a gene mutation connects the dots. Medical reporter Barbara Morse looks into how a screening can save lives.
Pancreatic cancer is a really insidious, dangerous disease.
Dr. Rachel Beard, a specialist in pancreatic surgery at Brown University Health, says that's because there's no preventive screening for it. And then there's this.
It can also be asymptomatic until very late stages. So I tell patients when they're diagnosed, it's only about 15 to 20% of patients with a new diagnosis of pancreatic cancer that can actually even talk to a surgeon.
Now they're finding they can catch this aggressive and often deadly cancer early on in certain people.
So a lot of the breast cancer genes you see, the BRCA1, BRCA2, we've actually noticed patients who have these, as well as the risk of breast cancer, they also have a risk of pancreas cancer too, up to 20%.
That was Claire Rich. She tested BRCA positive back in 2016, shortly after being diagnosed with breast cancer.
This year in January, the breast team that follows me suggested that this was a risk and that this screening was relatively new.
She was referred to Dr. Praneeth Pereira, a gastroenterologist, for what she thought would be a baseline screening. It was not.
And we found the tumor basically right here.
And biopsied that tumor on the spot.
When we were able to look at her pathology, she had a very early stage tumor.
With Claire, we were very lucky that we caught it because another 5 to 6 months and it certainly would have been inoperable.
Claire now has this advice.
Know your family history. If you don't know it, ask.
And then report that family history to your doctor. It could, like in Claire's case, be a lifesaver. I'm medical reporter Barbara Morse.
Coming up next, several middle schoolers in one state were suspended for bullying another student. Why the victim's family says that wasn't enough. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in Washington with concerns about plans for a new permanent homeless housing facility.
The city of Redmond plans to transform this gravel lot into a 100-unit permanent supportive housing facility for the homeless, run by the nonprofit Plymouth Housing. However, neighbors want safeguards in place to prevent people living here from doing drugs.
No unlawful acts and no illegal drugs, including fentanyl, should be done in the building.
Al Rosenthal owns an office building nearby and scheduled a meeting with the police chief to urge him to lobby city leaders to include a clause in the operating agreement with Plymouth Housing to strictly prohibit drug use and other illegal activities or risk their lease.
If they don't put that in, then later on, if it becomes a big problem, they have a tough time telling them, hey, you're violating your operating agreement, we want to shut you down.
Leah Sick and her father, Sean, are calling on the Spencerport School District to properly punish a group of students that she says has harassed her for years.
I want a chance to be free, and I want a chance for this bullying to stop so I could honestly get better myself, because obviously sometimes it's hard for me to go to school.
The district sending out a message to the community at the end of November, saying it's investigating a series of targeted events involving students both on school property and through FaceTime. Sean tells me the students involved were suspended for 3 days over the Thanksgiving break.
So it was basically an 8-day vacation for them.
Two photos sent to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office in April leading to a suspension for Deputy Guillermina Scantland. One photo shows the off-duty deputy at a nail salon in Royal Palm Beach sitting in a chair getting a pedicure. In another photo, Deputy Scantland is inside a public supermarket with her pants legs rolled up and she's wearing flip-flops after just getting a pedicure. After looking at the photos and investigating the matter, PBSO Internal Affairs determined Deputy Scantland, quote, engaged in conduct which adversely affected the public's respect for the agency, and she was suspended without pay for 24 hours. According to the Internal Affairs report, this is a breach of policy. According to PBSO, uniforms should, quote, only be worn by authorized employees when on duty, traveling to or from work, or on authorized assignments.
Basketball star Caitlin Clark is now Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year. The 22-year-old Indiana Fever player captivated fans in her first season with the league and set several rookie season records. Clark also helped bring in new fans and raise viewership to levels not seen in decades, even when she wasn't on the court. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 10.